Adding effects is essential in telling the story of your 2D game. Unity uses particle systems to simulate images being rendered as particles. Each particle can be randomized and modified to produce a different visual effect. This video will be a great introduction into the basics of using effects in your 2D game. This video is part of a much larger series where I cover everything you need to know for building your own 2D side view game. The project is available for free through my GitHub account, and you can access that by clicking the link in the description below. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and also check out my Patreon account if you want to donate that way. Also, be sure to follow us on our social media accounts to get updates on the latest videos. Alright, so in Unity, the first thing we need to do is create a material using our pre-made sprite that the particle system can then use as a singular particle. So let's right click in the project panel, navigate to create and select material. I'll name this material polygon. I'll apply our polygon sprite to the albedo drop box and change the shader of this material to the default sprite shader. Now we're ready to create our particle system, and to do that I'll right click in the hierarchy, navigate to effects, and select particle system. Let's reset the transform of the particle system and begin by modifying it by applying our material. At the bottom of the option list for the particle, let's expand the renderer drop down and drag in our material to the material drop box. Now you can see the particle has changed from its default to the particle that we created. For this effect, I'll create a really simple ambient fog effect, so I'll increase the duration of the effect from 5 to 30. I'll randomize the start speed by selecting the arrow drop down to the left of the input box and change the selection from constant to random between two constants. This is a great way to ensure the effect never looks exactly the same. Next, I'll do the same thing with the size of the particle, changing it from constant to random between two constants, and I'll bump up the size a bit there too. In the emissions tab, I'll change the rate over time from 10 to 3. And in the shapes tab, let's modify the spawn area. I'll change the spawn area to a box, and we can see our spawn area of the effect in our scene view displayed by the blue gizmo. Let's increase the width here of the spawn area by changing the X scale to 25. And so everything is starting to look a little bit better, but I want to make this effect appear behind the first background tile map layer. So each of these tile maps are assigned to their own sorting layer, which I covered in the last video. So all I have to do is open the renderer tab and change the sorting layer ID from default to the layer of my choice. Now you can see the effect occurs behind the first layer of my background. The next thing I'd like to do is change the color of the particle so that it gradually fades in and out based on its lifetime. So to do that, I'll enable the color over lifetime tab by selecting the toggle box and expanding the drop down. I'll click the color box to open the gradient editor, and the top markers of the gradient editor represent the opacity of the particle at a given time during its lifetime. The bottom markers represent the color of the particle at the given time. And I'll change the opacity first, so let's just click above the gradient here to add a new marker, and we can drag that marker to our desired location. I'll place a marker at around 25% and another marker around 75%. Now let's select the first and last marker and set the opacity to 0. Now if you notice, in our scene view, our particle slowly fades in at the beginning of its lifetime and fades out near the end of its lifetime. Next, I'll change the first color marker, darkening the color to gray. And let's also change the last color marker to an even darker gray. And actually I'll decrease the middle two opacity markers so that the particle will always remain at least partially transparent. And I think that actually looks pretty good. So I'll drag that into the background grid layer just to group everything together and keep everything neat and tidy. So now we're ready to start our second effect, and this particle is going to be a little bit different. Since I have the game here with an alien, I'd like to make the scene feel like it's taking place on some distant planet. So let's create some kind of anti-gravity effect. So I'll right click in the hierarchy panel, navigate to effects and select particle system. I'll expand the renderer tab and apply the material we created earlier. In the shape tab, let's also make the spawn area a box and scale that up a little bit on the x-axis. Let's randomize the start speed by changing the selection from constant to random between two constants. Let's also randomize the side by changing it from constant to random between two constants. And let's drop that down quite a bit. We can also change the gravity multiplier to a negative number, which will cause our particles to float upwards. Looks like I changed the simulation speed, so let's reset that to 1. Let's increase the rate over time from 10 to 25 in the admissions tab. Now in the renderer tab, I'll set the sorting layer so that it plays behind all of our tile maps. And finally, let's change the color of the particle by enabling the color over lifetime tab and selecting a dark blue. I'll do the same as before, just for a little added practice, making the particle fade in and out near the beginning and end of its lifetime. Now when I play the game, our particles automatically start playing and will continue to loop until the game is... What's up everyone, thanks for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to follow us on social media to get the latest news updates.